Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this will be my sort of outsiders prediction video, but in form of a tier list. Main point is to see 1 month or 2 months in the future to see how well I managed to predict meta for outsiders. And I don't think the meta will change all that much from what we had before, but there are some weird inclusions. So first, my hero Bravo. I think he's a pretty strong A-tier hero. When Icelander got Amulet banned, Bravo rose up, and against new heroes, Bravo should stack fairly well because he's good in the Ranger by nature. So his matchup against Azalea and Lexi will remain similar, a bit worse, but still favorable for Bravo. And against Uzuri, I think Bravo is also pretty good because Anatos is a strong weapon which can win that matchup by itself. Next up, the main winner of Outsiders, Katsu. He will be in B tier, mainly because there are a lot of disruptions in the format. But I still think Katsu will be the best aggro deck because new combo lines just enable the cards to deal pure damage and not rely so much on combos and weird on-hits like it used to before. Next, from Welcome to Raid, we have Reiner, which is unfortunately a C-tier hero. Reiner can fit good in some mid-range metas, but it will essentially fall down to almost every aggro deck unless you draw 3 Blood Rush Bellows in a row. And even control matchups aren't all that favorable for Reiner as well. So Icelander's Oldhymns, even Bravo, I think is still favored into Reiner. Last hero from Welcome to Raid is Dorinta, and I think Warrior is not in a good position now. It suffers a lot from Ice, and Ice will still be prevalent in the meta. And Dorinta, I don't think, is all that good against Ranger as well. She has a lot of blocks, and Dorinta is good against ninjas, and I guess Fi is there as well. But I think ninjas will be less prominent, and Dorinta's most favorable matchups are going to drop in numbers, if that makes sense. And another big winner, actually Azalea is a bigger winner than Katsu. I will put her in A tier because Azalea got some really strong arrows and really strong non-attack actions that buff arrows and provide some on-hits. 0 for 3 that creates Bloodrot Pox token on on-hit is essentially a 0 for 5 in Azalea, so she can race better, and she still has that disruption in that new majestic arrow that goes for 5 and basically says you can't pitch blue cards on your turn, and that is detrimental. Azalea also, with these cards I mentioned, has some potential to win against Guardians, which was previously unimaginable. You had to make some tri-shot Rain Razor's Endless Arrow combo for 40 plus damage to kill any Oldhim basically. But nowadays Azalea, I think, can pressure even more defensive heroes constantly, and her I don't know how to say it, her consistency got up. Next, also from Arcane, Dash. So my other main, Dash is here because it's a very versatile deck that can pivot between boost aggro version and pistol version, and because of that I think Dash will remain strong in this meta, because the weaker the meta is, the better are the decks that have big numbers, and Dash has big numbers because 2 for 6 go again, 1 for 5 go again, 0 for 4 go again, and also in more defensive matchups because they are unable to output a lot of damage, you can set up some items, and Dash is a really strong contender in the meta. Viserai, the weaker of the Rune Blades, it's an aggro deck which can have blow up turns as we've seen in Auckland, but the consistency of the deck is not great, and there are a lot of things in the meta that destroy Viserai, such as Guardians, Rangers, and I would say even Katsu now is heavily favored in that matchup as well. So Viserai is unfortunately in C tier. Joining in C tier is Kano, and Kano is, well, if you know Flesh and Blood, Kano is the wizard, and in a sample of a big tournament, if there are 20 Kanos, one of them will almost certainly top, because Kano is pretty much a dice roll hero. If you draw a combo before your opponent can race you, you win. If you don't, you lose. But since Kano has such a low player base, those 3-4 Kanos that show up at bigger events usually lose. And it's hard to win a tournament with Kano, because some games, if you don't draw your Aether Wildfire or Blazing Aether in the time, you will lose, because you can't deal efficient damage with Arcane. And now the two Monarch decks that are left are both D tier. There isn't much sense to talk about them. I just hope in the next set, Dusk Till Dawn, they will get something useful, because it's sad to see them rot into D tier. Boltyn used to have some merit before, but with the disruption we have in the game now, or we will have after Outsiders, there isn't actually a window for Boltyn to perform his combo. Briar is still an A tier hero. Ability to create earth embodiments and essentially save life with non-attack actions blocking for 4 is huge, and in a mid-range slower meta you will always do damage with Briar, because you have every single of your attacks is a breakpoint, and then you can block more efficiently. And we've seen Briar perform well, not amazing since the Belittle ban. I think Protori and Lil had top 4 all 4 Briars, but Briar is still a really strong deck, and I hope she will reach Living Legend soon enough, because it's kinda boring to see Channel Mount Heroic into Force of Nature winning games. And I mean, that's not the only way Briar can win a game. It's a really powerful deck, and we've even seen some fatigue versions which play Evergreen and basically any 3-4-7 attacks. Some even played Raging Onslaught. And the first and only S tier hero, in my opinion, is Olhim. It's I think undisputed best deck in Flesh and Blood now, with Ice to disrupt aggro decks and the efficient way of blocking damage without losing cards. It's really hard to lose in Fatigue with Olhim. It is hard for aggro to win versus Olhim, because you are always fearful of that Ice React or Blizzard, and Olhim can also have serious on hits with Spinal Crush, Oakenold, Endless Winter, etc. In my opinion, I prefer Bravo, but I think Olhim is all around a better deck and more suited towards the meta we are headed for. Next is another Ranger, and Lexi is also an A tier hero, and she's in a weird place, because Lexi is a strong deck but doesn't have a lot of people playing Lexi, so I don't think Lexi's full potential is seen. But also from that low number of play, Lexi does have good results. In Bologna it got to top 4, in Auckland it went to the finals, lost to Dash, and with the new arrows, I don't really know how Lexi plays, but I think the new arrows can only help, and new non-attack actions can only help Lexi's deck lists. From Everfest, or no, from Uprising, we have Icelander, and Icelander, I will put it in lower A tier, only because Michael Hamilton, and he is a renowned Icelander player. I would actually put Icelander in B if not for him, because of the new token Inertia that says you can't have an Arsenal. Icelander obviously loves playing with Arsenal, and it's a weird thing as well, because Icelander is strong versus Rangers and versus Assassins, just by nature of Uzuri not wanting to pay 1 resource to activate her ability to attack react. But inertia tokens can only be made with ranger and assassin cards, so I think that's a nice thing done by LSS to provide rangers and assassins with potential to outplay Icelander. And for map pricing, Dromai will be B tier, because Dromai has a lot of play rate, but she suffers from aggro decks and against Guardians, which is good for Illusionist, but Dromai is not like Prism. Your dragons have Phantasm, while Prism's auras didn't have Phantasm. And Dromai is not a soul deck yet, I think. There are many versions with more red line Dromai or dragon heavy Dromai, but I think it fits in the middle of the meta for now. Fi, one of the best decks ever with Stabby Hammers. Fi has dropped down to B tier after the Belittle ban. Fi lost that little more explosive turns, and it struggles more into Ice Heroes without Belittle. So I think Fi is getting a bit pushed out, and as you can see, there is not a single pure aggro deck in the S and A tier. Briar is an aggro deck, but not the usual aggro deck, because she can set up, while usually aggro decks can't set up. From Dynasty, the first assassin, Arachne, is D tier. He is basically block 3 cards, swing for 4, or block with 2 cards, swing for 8, and that is not enough in Flesh and Blood currently. Contract cards that banish cards from the top aren't really relevant if you die on turn 10. Last Ranger is Riptide, and he is also joining the C tier heroes. Riptide, unlike Azalea and Lexi, doesn't have that explosiveness, and his ability to load things for free from hand with his ability is neat, but I don't think there is really something good there. Of course, you can play zero cost buff to play zero cost arrow, and that is strong, but that is also, I think, not enough to beat anybody in the mid-range meta. Rangers all have very few armor, and with Riptide and his defense reactions, it sort of pushes you into playing more defensive slash mid-range slower type match, but without armor it's really hard to do so, because you lose that one pivotal turn to switch on the offense. And the last hero, Uzuri, this may be a bit weird, but I think Uzuri is a B tier hero. Her specialization is an insane card, and her ability can win games, which is kind of weird, because you can play around with defense reactions, but with your arms equipment, Flick Knives, you can throw your dagger to reduce the efficiency of those defense reactions. And even though Uzuri hates seeing frostbites, now that Oldhim doesn't have Winter Veil, you can let Titan Fist hit you, not get a frostbite, and still play her full hand. Although you probably don't want to play her full hand. My brother is more on this Uzuri hype train than I am, and I played a few games versus him, and I will put some on channel later. But I think he thinks Uzuri is a B tier hero, and I agree with him. With I hope the drop of Icelander, I think Uzuri has her place in the meta. And yeah, this is my tier list. I think this is the fairly good prediction of how meta will look like, and I look forward to making another tier list in 2 months, probably after Baltimore, to see how wrong this turned out to be. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.